Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are back for another episode of Big Six Bands. It is the LFC All-Star Panel Show. A little bit of a shift and a little bit of a change today, but nonetheless, a started panel as usual. I'm sorry for Hammonds' lateness. I mean, honestly, I tried to get him in as soon as I could, but I just didn't hear, it's just Hammonds being late all the time. I'm taking it with his people. It was my fault. I forgot to send in the link and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
you donut, bruv. Trying to blame it on me, blood. I might as well call you homo with the fact you're a donut, blood. Shut up, bruv. You know what I'm saying? Well, you talking
hell,
to,
man.
but don't talk to me like that. You wild.
This is how you know he's been hanging around me too much. The guy's talking, man. You know what I'm saying? But listen, we are
chat. Can we get it? I don't know if we have a donut emojis on your phones and that, but get a donut in the chat for us, will you? You know what I mean? Or not for me, but for Monts at least.
For me, impossible people. You know what I'm saying? Listen, also, Callum is not here today because it is his birthday. So listen, everyone in the chat, I'd like you to obviously wish Callum a happy birthday where you can, when you can. You know what I'm saying? Bro, I'm not gonna get him to be on stream on his birthday. Come on, man. He deserves the break. Man worked tirelessly. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Wish Cal a happy birthday over on Coppish during the next stream, whether they stream. I think Drifty might be on a little bit later streaming as well. So that's one little favor. So again, whether you're watching this back, whether you're watching this now, smash the like button and make sure you subscribe to James Jasmine TV. Make sure you also subscribe to Big Six Pants as well. We are on the road to 5,400 subscribers, but I'm not going to lie. We're trying to get to 5.5, then 6K, then 10K. So listen, hit that subscribe button and support us. And you know, that's what I'm saying. And make sure as well, today we want to try and get to 400, 500 likes again today. I'll say 500 likes. Is that
500 likes? 500 likes.
500 likes, yeah, that seems all right today. Chat, let me know how many likes we should get to. I say 500 for the 50 million that Liverpool clearly don't want to spend on someone who's got 4 years left on their contract, coming from a relegated side who is 19 years old, yet we still don't want to budge and all that good stuff. Amanda, how are we today?
Better days.
Better days? Yeah.
We've had better days, man. Just seeing Lavia on the bench should be in our squad by now. But yeah, I'm all right. Anything other than Liverpool months, I'm okay. But yeah, big up James. Nice meeting you first time. Big up everyone inside. And big up yourself, Monts. Big up yourself.
Of course. James, what are you telling me, man? How you been?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd love to give you an answer. I'd love to be able to provide you a solid one right now. But unfortunately, Monts, I haven't got any words without being called negative. So listen, to all the mopey top reds in the chat, you've got me all right. Your ownership won. Your ownership got us in Europa League. And see, you were right and I was wrong. I'm just saying. All right. And yeah, man, like I actually thought, oh, imagine me getting so gullible to think, oh, we were actually going to do some bits this summer. We're going to get a defender. We're going to get midfielders. And I thought Soboslai and McAllister was, right. But then I thought, okay, well, now we've let go of Hendo, Nino and Fabinho. Well, they need to be replaced to some degree. Even if it's just one for the two, I'll take it. 50 million out, this many in, 6 players out, 2 players in at the moment. That's a problem. It's a huge issue. So, yeah, I'm pissed. I'm not happy, and top reds are beating us, bro. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I woke up today, gritting my teeth, just as angry as you are. Really, just the fact that when you actually look at the window as a whole, as you said, selling 6 players, what if we're counting Arthur, and then bringing in 2, and one of them could be injured. One of them could actually be injured. So, and the guy that we want to bring in, we're treating. Do you know what it is? We're treating a 50 million signing like it's 100 million signing. You see what I'm saying? Like Lavia might as well have been 100 million, because that's how it feels like we're trying to edge closer and closer. We could lose out on Romeo Lavia for an excess of 5 million. Take it. We probably made 5 million. We probably saved that amount of money for the wages lost on the wage bill. That's what's so crazy about that. What was you gonna say?
That's what's annoying. Let's say the difference was 20 mil. You could kind of hear it, but the fact of once is literally 5 million. 5. We're probably going to recruit that from Nat Phillips and Kelleher anyway. So the fact that we're not even paying that 5 million is just annoying. Whether people think Lavia is the answer or not, it's fine. But it's the
It's
principle.
a priority
We've been
target
chasing him.
for the club, though, isn't it? So, like, you'd still expect them to want to go all out for a priority target. I hear what you're saying.
Exactly, and it's principle. We've been after Lavia, let's be honest, seriously, for about the last month. And the way this window started with Sabozda and McAllister, I think James, just alluding to what James was saying earlier, I think we were all kind of thinking this is going to be a good window. We started well, and even if I think you were saying it earlier on, never 5 months, even if from the start of the season, it's like the standards of signings even gone down. We started with McAllister and Sabozda, and now it's slowly going down. Because me personally, I don't think we're going to get Lavia anymore. I know some people saying we will. He's on the bench now, but I think we're probably going to bring Andre in, and that's it. I don't think we'll get a centre back. I think this window is going to end up being very, very disappointing for us, and it will raise some questions. And then it's kind of unfair on Klopp to work his magic again to try and find a system that is very conducive for the rest of the season. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. But me personally, I think the Lavia deal is off now. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be proved wrong, but I'm just losing optimism now.
See, I think we'll still get Lavia. I'm confident that we'll still get him. I just think we are just genuinely trying to save pennies, which originally I don't mind, and I still don't mind because he's not going to play against Chelsea anyway, according to certain people. But I don't know why that's the case. It would have been nice to get that wrapped up earlier with how long personal terms have been agreed. I also understand the aspect of having to play the game of bidding and stuff like that. It's there for a reason, you know. And even though a million to us, you know, it sounds like Football Manager to us, so I don't think we analyse what that can be. I do still think it's beneficial to be able to save a couple of million on a transfer here and there. That being said, you know, I like to also sort of touch on what Rams was saying there. It's a priority target. It's somebody who, if you really want them, why are you going to play the big risk of such a young talent? You know, you're paying this money for a young talent. I'd understand if we were going out there and getting a 29-year-old CDM who was a bit more established and you didn't want to pay the excess funds because you're going to be paying high wages, you're going to pay a high agent fee. It's good to save as much money as you possibly can on a player like that. But for a long-term solution like Lavia, which if you're going to spend £50 million on that, then you'd like to think that's the way they'll perceive him. I certainly don't see the greater impact of saving 5 million when another team can swoop in. You know, we know the thing with Chelsea and Caicedo now, and if they came in and doubled the wages, which they very possibly could do, even if they just increased it by a little bit, I'm sure Lavia would go. He'd be like, listen, I've had personal terms agreed with you for over a month now, and you're saying to me that you're still not ready to get me in the door. I'm still having to play pre-season games for Southampton. So I'm sure Lavia is probably getting a little bit frustrated, probably wondering what's going to happen. I think we will get him still. That's not my issue. But yeah, I do think it's interesting the way we've approached that transfer. So I don't think we should worry about him coming in, and I'm not going to worry too much if he doesn't start in the first game of the season. My greatest worry is plain and simply the team that we're going to build up with at the beginning of the season. And I understand people will sit there and say, don't be upset, the window's not done, and I do agree with that to a very small percentage. But overall, I think we have a right to be skeptical on whether or not we will achieve said goal of making sure we're prepared squad wise. And I think we have the right to be to be a skeptic on leaning towards the side of no, we're not going to be prepared, because that's the way it's been in multiple seasons. We have just finished in the Europa League. We have just let go of 6 players and brought in 2. There's no real inclination that we're going to bring in anyone of true significance to the squad. I don't know much about this Andre dude, so listen, maybe he can come in and be a world beater. I love the signings that we've made so far. I've got to give them that credit. I think the signings that we've made so far has been great. But we're not doing it to a high enough volume. And if we don't accommodate volume, then you're going to get what you've been getting knocked out of cups early. You're going to be getting inconsistent in the Premier League because you're playing sometimes twice a week in the Premier League. And that is important to have that squad rotation, not to mention the fact that we've got massive instability all over the pitch when it comes to reliability. You know, you think of Kanate, Matip, all of our centre-backs, all of our main centre-backs, all are worried to be injured. So that's why I'll sit there and I'll say now, I think we have our right to be worried, and anyone who opposes it, I'd love to hear what you're thinking, because I'd like to align with that thinking. That makes me feel better. It means I've got something to look forward to. Based on history, I don't think we've got anything nice to look forward to. So we'll see.
I don't know. Like, do you know what it is? Like, I agree with the whole McAllister and Sabozda are good signings, but it's like when you make 2 signings, yeah, and one of them is Premier League proven.
Nah, that was just a side note. That was just a side note. Like out of all the bad things, they're great signings. If you made more signings, that'd be great, you know?
Yeah, but like, I don't think we look at things on a just on an in-game basis. Like, I don't see how Liverpool, like how we defend, and no one actually looks and goes, hey, yo, we should be out looking for a defender and making it known to the world. Like, we should be there. Like, how does that not look like? If, as a fan, we can, as fans, we can see that, yo, something's wrong at the back, and it's not just the CDM. For me, it's not just the need of a 6 or a pivot or someone who's going to be the destroyer. It's not just that, because I look at the defense and I still see liabilities. I still see the right side as a liability. I still see deficiencies in Konate's game. I still see Joe Gomez as he's ineligible to play at centre back for Liverpool ever again for me. I still look at Matip and go, my God, you are finished at the highest level. Yeah. Thank you so much for what you've done. You came in on a free and will probably leave as a free. You've won everything. But again, it's time to be ruthless. So if you look at Matip, Gomez, and Konate is the only one who I can really think of is reliable. And then the other two, one is just not good enough to play, and the other one's leaving on a free, and he's getting on now. So that means arguably we need to refresh the defense as much as we need to refresh the midfield.
I think everyone agrees.
Konate's got injury issues. Why does everyone forget that Konate actually has injury issues?
Monts, I think everyone agrees. You know, Monts. I don't think we're sitting there now. I think we all realize
as a club, it's almost like, I don't want to say we're ignoring it because we're not, because I do think the club are looking at a centre back. Klopp has said it in a few presses now that, you know what, we are looking for a centre back. But if you're looking for a centre back, that centre back needs to know how to occupy the line. He needs to know Liverpool's style of play, because if Liverpool's style of play is changing, it's not like they can watch a few videos and catch on and have no preseason. It's not going to work like that.
Monts, for me, we weren't proactive enough because history suggests that Klopp won't bring players in for the sake of it. When he wants a player, he'll go for that player. If he can't get that player, we don't really have a plan B and C. But we were hell-bent on, if we're going by the sources, we were hell-bent on Colwill. We were seeing how that situation would go. I never really entertained it because I knew eventually he would just stay at Chelsea. But for me, we weren't proactive enough because if you know you can't get Colwill, you should have a second or third option that are quite feasible and realistic that you can get. And the fact we were willing to meet the 80 million valuation, you know we have money there. And like season starting...
And the Saudi money's up front, by the way. The Saudi money's not in installments. It's up front money.
And not even just that, Monts. Nat Phillips, I think, is guaranteed to leave. I think we'll eventually send. That's what, 8 to 10 million. Kelleher, 50-50. We still don't 100% know. But we're even going to have more money coming in. And I just think it's disappointing that we didn't have maybe a plan B and C, as in a second centre-back option and a third. But we know how Klopp is. If he can't get his man, he doesn't really just want to bring in players for the sake of it. But we're in a situation.
We do have plan Bs and Cs. Salah was a plan C. It wasn't even a plan B.
Like, but I mean in more recent history.
Yeah, I understand.
That's going back 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well, Salah was one that we were touting for quite a while, weren't it? And nothing changed with Salah. He remains kind of that Serie A right winger where he was kind of just around the Fiorentinas and the Romas, but no world-class club was really going to take him anytime soon. So that's why, it just made sense. I think the Salah one just made sense just because, he was someone that we had an eye on. I think we even had an eye on him before Chelsea, no?
When
he was at Basel.
When he was at Basel, Mourinho.
Chelsea a bit more serious with it, though.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm suggesting.
Mourinho spearheaded that
yeah. Do you know what I think would be a fantastic solution for us? And I don't think it's realistic because purely on the premise that I've not seen us linked with any of these players. But I think these 3 players, they are 3 players. They would want significant wages, but I don't think super wages. And they are proven winners. So if you want to, 2 of them are proven winners. One of them is one that we have been linked with. So the first one I'll say is Lavia. That's one of the 3 players that I bring in. I like him. I think he's a good young CDM. I think he's got a nice profile for a player his age. If you're going to identify a young player, I think, one of the top prospects out of Belgium, produce good players, and then personally identified by Pep and Klopp. That's a nice enough resume to say to me, plus my eye test of what I've seen from him, for him to come right into the Premier League one season and settle in straight away. I know they got relegated, but he was a fantastic player for them. So listen, all that says to me, he can come into our team. So Lavia 1. And then the other 2 would be Marcus Llorente from Atletico Madrid, and then Pavard from Bayern Munich. Now, reason being, we are now transitioning into this between the 3 at the back and the 4 at the back. And I think when Trent wants to go forwards, I think Pavard can do a phenomenal job at alternating between that sort of right-sided centre-back. I understand we want a left-sided centre-back. I don't think it matters too much when you've got quality. I just don't think it's a super concern for the left or the right sider. But he's somebody who can play right back, play centre back, and he's a World Cup winner. Plus, he's won many titles with Bayern Munich. And then Marcus Llorente, the method to me madness there is, doesn't seem to have a bad injury record, can play right mid, right back, centre mid. He's a versatile player himself. Again, these two players not only bring quality, experience, but they also bring that aspect of the realistic. I've seen Llorente linked for a £20 million move to Saudi. I've seen Pavard linked away for no more than 35 to 40 million, which is very achievable with the fact we've just let go of a couple of players. So now what you're doing, you're killing a couple of birds with one stone. You're getting a midfielder with experience, which you'd like to think we'd need. And then you're also getting a centre-back, a dash right-back with experience. And what these 3 signings do is align with the financial targets of the football club, because they're not stupid money. That's not stupid. You've just made 50 million for Fabinho and Henderson. Let's say that covers Lavia. Wait, so that covers Lavia. And then you were already in for Lavia before you were going to get that 50 million for Henderson and Fabinho. So that money's already there. So it's definitely available. And if you combine the price for Llorente and Pavard, it's 60 million, bro. It's nothing crazy. And they wouldn't be asking for no more than 150k a week wages. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. Two of those I actually kind of knew you was going to say. So I was actually going to, if I was to guess, I thought you was going to say Lavia and Pavard. But the third one, I didn't think you'd say Marcus Llorente. I thought you was going to say Amrabat. Because
Amrabat is who I take if we're going to go off pure realistic signings that I think we could try and swoop. I don't think now. I think Man United are the front runners for him now. And I think even if we went in there, I don't think we'd be very successful. But yeah, that'd be the one out of all the realistic names.
Because do you know what it is with him? You even have Man United fans going, well, we already have Casemiro. How have Liverpool not come in for this? When Man United fans are saying that, it's almost slapping you in the face, because Amrabat is being priced or quoted at 20 to 30 million. You could still buy Lavia and Amrabat at that point. You could actually go and get both within our budget.
We were the only serious Premier League club that were in for him kind of after the World Cup. It was actually us first. So, like you said, from when United fans are saying, how weren't you lot all over this? You lot actually were the first ones in for him. It's crazy in that sense. It is.
But you could say again, Champions League football winning. I think he does want United. We have to hold our hands up. We've taken many signings from them, but sometimes it takes a bigger man to say, listen, they've got their guy. Personally, I still think he doesn't start for them because of Casemiro and they've already got Man. But this isn't even about Man United. James, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I feel like the only one I'm not too sure about is Pavard. Whether he'd have the legs. I don't know if he's that great defensively, but in terms of on the ball and maybe distributing that ball, and especially with his composure on the ball, I can understand the new dimension.
I think he needs to reconsider this. I'd encourage you to watch him again defensively. I'd encourage that.
On the right, though, I think in the centrally,
I think that's where he's best defensively. To be honed, I'd have to disagree with you there.
Fair enough.
Yeah, for sure. I think World Cup.
It's just from when I've watched him. When I've watched him at Bayern Munich, for me, he's looked the least defensively. But I just feel like the way Bayern Munich play is very. That's maybe due to this.
I think they are a more expansive team for sure. Because he's good on the ball, they encourage him to go forward more. But I think he's superior to a lot of right backs defensively. I think in a game in a modern age where there's a
closer look on him, because James, I'm with Monts. I've always thought that he was kind of a defensive liability, but maybe I've not been watching him enough. Going forward, superb. Yeah. He's got a shot on him. His goal contributions as well. But going the other way, maybe I've not watched him enough. But I'm now going to keep an eye on him.
No, I think I like him defensively, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe even I might need to reassess. But yeah, that's just 3 players that I think proven quality. And even if it was give or take just someone like for those, I think Amrabat was a great show for Marcus Llorente. I like Marcus Llorente, but I think Amrabat will probably be more stylistically adherent to what we've got. So I'm fine. I'm just giving you the model of what I wouldn't mind, and I think is doable and achievable within the financial means of what we can set. So, because that's important. We can't just sit here and say, let's go and get Lavia, Caicedo, and friggin' Colwill, even though he's just signed a 6-year deal. It's not achievable. But what we can do is go out and get these type of players. And my worry is if we don't get any of them, that's a huge issue. Like, you're committing professional suicide on that basis. So we can do it. But at the moment, as we speak, there's 17 Premier League teams who have bought more players than us. So let's do with that what you will, my friend.
Do you know what?
Before you go, Ron, if we're talking achievable, let's see how achievable 150 likes is right now, because we've got 240 people in the house right now, and in terms of likes, we are on 83 likes. So it's 1 in 3. We usually do at least half. So again, you lot, stop what you're doing. I understand the chat is very, very optimistic. Well, I'd say a little bit pessimistic, but I think it's more realistic. That's the word I'm going to use right now. We should be liking the video. Stop what you're doing right now. I know it's difficult when the chat's going so well, but stop what you're doing. I'm going to go to the comments now as well. There's been so many comments. The chat has been popping off, so we are going to head to the comments and give you guys a chance to have your say as well. But again, we should, if we've got 240 people in it, we should at least be on 150 likes. At least. So again, hit that like button and make sure you hit the subscribe button as well, man. Again, James Redmond is literally in the title. So all you have to do is click on this app, find this channel, and go get that man to 5 figures, 6 figures, and send him to the moon as well, as he deserves that. You know what I'm saying? As I was saying. But let's hit some of the comments as well. Let's hit some of the comments. What are we seeing? What we seeing? Big up Josh. He says pre-pandemic they were quite good, and now they have shown they don't have the capacity to keep with the modern day football. We are a top tier English team, not some Serie A B team. Understandable.
What's that in relation?
Says, I think it's all about the type of signings we're going for. Dell says Llorente isn't at it anymore. In terms of, I think it's called Marcus Llorente from Atletico. Some people were saying Valverde, big up Kings Mano as well, and Lucky Singh as well, and he's in the house as well, by the way. A lot of people didn't really agree with the Llorente thing, but in terms of the legs, he is something that we could use.
It's a bit of PTSD though, you know, the celebration where he stood on his knees and that scarred me once.
Silva says we need left centre backs, 2 CDMs, and maybe sell either Matip or Gomez and get a better, less injury prone right centre back, and we could even get one deal done. And we can't even get one deal done, let alone get 4.
Isn't that Gabby Vega still available as well?
Apparently, we're in talks with him still. I don't know
that one doesn't make no sense to me. He played in an attacking midfield, and he's also played out wide. We bought Szoboszlai. Why are we bringing some Spanish who's got okay stats, which reminds me of Fabio Vieira part?
Yeah, Iago's going to be gone in a year, bro. Trust me, it'd be a good long-term signing.
I don't know, man. I just think there's just more priorities.
You're thinking too short term. He'd be a good long-term signing. If I told you he was going to be a £70 million player in a year's time, you'd probably kick yourself for not taking him for 25. You know what I mean?
That's me. I just know. I've watched him. I've watched him a little bit as well. I don't know. I can tell he's a good player. I can tell he's got potential in that.
Monts is just on that no faith Kool-Aid at the moment, isn't it?
But man, them have said, you man know I've never been on the Gabby Vega train like that.
No, you haven't.
I've never been on the train.
From what I've seen, a bit more robust, has the eye for goal. You might say we were saying this about Vieira. I don't do that.
No, that's all I'm gonna say. Carvalho, Klopp don't support them type of players. So just get that.
You're right.
Gabriel Vega dream out of here. It's not happening.
Jurgen didn't never want Carvalho, bro. He was a money ball. He was never gonna play.
Big up Solo as well, man. Good to see you in the chat as well. Do you know what? Do you know what I wanted to touch on as well, Roms and Hammers, is the whole unknown club bidding for Caicedo. Like, there was a few reports saying that Liverpool was that unknown club. At first, forget about it. And a part of me still thinks that. But is there any inkling in any of you lot that Liverpool might have actually tried a cheeky lowball offer? Not a lowball, because obviously they said the bid was actually over 80 million. But would you say, do you think that's any possibility that it could have been us? And that maybe we wanted to keep it under wraps due to our interest in Lavia? Because think about it. If Southampton see that Liverpool have just gone and slapped 80 plus for Caicedo, they're obviously going to look at a man sideways going, excuse me, and you don't want to pay us the extra $5 million.
Do you know what it is, Monts? I never personally entertain it, but when you actually look at it from a local point of view, we received 53 million for Fabinho and Henderson combined. We already had about 40 aside for Lavia. Possibly that makes 93 million. Possibly it could have been enough. I don't think it was, but you do never know. But I doubt it. I highly doubt it. If someone said maybe it was us, I could maybe C, but I don't think we were in for him. I don't think it was us.
Yeah, Ahmed, what's your take on that
Which
one?
on Caicedo?
Yeah, the unknown club who put in the 80 million plus bid. That was
Couldn't fucking
vetted.
tell. Yeah, just know it weren't us. Definitely weren't us. Not a chance.
Yeah.
Do you know what though?
Yeah.
There's a part of me that wouldn't surprise me if it was us, because that's a low ball fucking offer for what we know that they want. You know what I mean? We know they want more money than that. It probably would be an FSG thing to do, to try and just sweep in and try and get him for 80 mil.
Because
Really,
remember, like,
what do they want? They want 100 minimum, don't they?
I think they'll budge at 90 plus 10 add-ons in it. I think they'll budge.
Yeah.
Chelsea was to go 90 million.
As long as that's a 100 million package, in it.
Yeah, as long as that's the package, I think. But Chelsea are probably going to run them like 45 mil up front or something like that. Like, you know, that's what I'm saying. To be fair, how about this? If let's just say Liverpool were the club and they slapped on, because they said it was above 8 million. So let's say Liverpool put in 85 and they forgot about Lavia, and then you went and bought in a centre back for maybe 40 mil. So you've gone and spent, I don't know, 120 million. But of course, because you've got that 60 odd mil of Hendo and Fab, it's excess really, 60 million they've spent minus the sales. Would you not be happy with just an extra a left centre back and Caicedo if we did actually do that?
Oh yeah.
100%. And the reason why I say that much is because Caicedo, he can play right back, so he can also number 2 to Trent, or even if Trent don't start there and do the inverted, he can cover him. He can play DM, and he's even had a few games at centre back. He's very versatile in the positions which we need a player in. So I think it's a no-brainer. If he was to tell me a left centre back and Caicedo, I'm taking that tomorrow. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah. 100%. But when I said it, like, you know, when I just said it the way I've explained it, it doesn't actually seem very difficult at all. That's what's so crazy to me. Like, if you've gone on, because I don't think the club actually.
I don't know. I don't think we're doing that Caicedo one. You know.
No, we won't. This is more wishful speak. This is more wishful thinking. But I don't know if the club really actually anticipated losing Fabinho and Henderson, and getting the money they get as a double for both of them. I don't think the club anticipated that. But as long as, even if you haven't anticipated it, why not act on it? And I don't think Liverpool are good enough right now to leave essential signings until past the opening day of the season. It's not like we have, no disrespect, Luton at home for opening day at Anfield on a 3 o'clock kickoff where no one else has really eyes on us, because, you know, we hate that 12 o'clock kickoff. It's not like we have a nice sunny day to look forward to at Anfield. We're going to the Bridge, match day 1, all eyes on us, Sunday at 4:30. Understand that, like, it's not a joke. You see what I'm saying? And like, why? And this is what I mean by I'm tired of us not being proactive. I'm tired of FSG not being proactive enough to see danger. It's rather, let's lose 3 games, and, you know, or as James alluded to at the start of the video, Europa League, now struggling for defenders, need a midfielder, and now things are being done, or now people are trying to make movements for midfielders. Do you know what I'm saying? It's always something crazy has to happen, and then we decide to act on it, as opposed to seeing the danger before it happens. I'm just tired of it, to be honest, man. It's draining. It's actually draining. And like what you man are saying, FSG out. Yes. Is it generic? Yes. Is it the obvious? Yes. But what more can we say at this point? What more can we say? There are clubs who aren't even in Europe who are being more proactive.
I think it's interesting as well that how much do you get off being in the Prem?
What do you mean?
Licensing, TV deals, and even the way where you finish, that determines how much revenue you get from the Premier League. I'd imagine it's excess of 100 million now.
I'm not quite sure.
Maybe I'm wrong. I know it's a lot of money. I know that the TV deals in the Prem is ridiculous, which is why, you know, Nottingham and all these teams can go out and spend money, and they take risks. That's the thing. That's the difference between our club and theirs. Our club's happy with being a top 4 team. I think we need to establish this in our brains. If the owners have got the mentality for the top 4 team, you're never going to go and push on and be a league winning team. I think we were a league winning team for the time we was, because we've got a great manager and we got every signing right. Those two things culminated. Absolutely is a lot of luck. And also what was luck was the injuries we had those seasons. Very few. Very few. So consider the
Everything
fact
aligned that season.
all the signings were perfect. The manager perfect, and the injuries was very few. So we played the same 11 week in, week out in both competitions. Pretty much, it was amazing to see. But everything came together right. But as we know that we don't always live in that ideal world, I want to know how much we get from where we finished in the Premier League, plus the European revenue, and then plus the revenue of these players as well. It all matters because we've spent less than 100 million combined so far with our signings, though, because McAllister was 35, and then you've obviously got Szoboszlai, who was 60. So that's why I'm saying, where's the extra funds? Because I understand FSG can't go in their own back pocket and invest into the club just because that can increase things like debt and whatnot. And I also understand that the stadium was a loan. So where's the rest of the money is all I'm asking for. And I hope it's not doing that thing like what we did with Jude and Kylian Mbappe, where we wait for that one big signing. So it's kind of like we allocate funds to the side and wait until that player's available, and then we'll miss out anyway. It's bullshit for me. I think that's why we never got a midfielder last summer, because I think we were looking out for Jude Bellingham and thinking he's the dude.
But we still haven't got an answer.
100 million.
Well, we still haven't got an answer to the 660 something million we made.
Just to say that in
revenue. Remember the quad winning just after the quad competing season, the whole 670 something revenue that was made, that was put out there. I don't even know what's happened to that. I don't know where that went either. So it smells a little bit like.
I hope someone who knows more than me about finances does a video on that or something, because I'd actually love to know of where it could go. If they could look into FSG as an organisation, I'd love to see where that. Because if it's money generated by the club directly and from the Premier League and from the UEFA, how come that's not going back into players? I'd imagine it would, just because I see Championship teams come up and spend excess of 100 million on multiple players, and that's because they've just been given those funds. There's a reason why they don't spend that in the Championship, because you can only spend how much money you make, and you make a lot of money just simply being in the Premier League, let alone finishing 5th in the Premier League. So, and all those years that we finished 4th in the Premier League and all the times we got to a Champions League final, it just doesn't add up to me. What's the most we've ever spent in a window?
That was in excess when we sold Coutinho, no? When we spent just under 70 for Alisson, 72 million on Verge.
But that wasn't in a single window. I believe.
Yeah, that was in the summer.
I'll include it.
Sorry, Fabinho. So we got Fabinho for 40. Fabinho came in. Alisson came in.
Yeah, summer 2019. I can't remember the exact figure.
Keita come in, even though we paid for Keita the year before.
Yeah.
So
Keita doesn't count on that one. He was year before.
He was the year before. I'd say it was when we sold Coutinho. That was the year we actually spent properly. Because apart from
how much would you estimate that was in that? If you include Virgil and all the summer signings, how much would you estimate that being?
Probably about 140, 150.
Interesting that the time.
And Coutinho was over 140. So how much?
So we sell an asset for 140 million. We now have spent 140 million on what was great additions, fantastic additions. Oh my goodness, every one of them was great. Even Shaqiri done his part, you know what I mean, when he came on. Because you could just see when Shaqiri was there, lad, he just had that little bit of quality. His only issue was availability, really. I thought he was a great option as a backup. But the point that I'm leading to is, okay, then that was our biggest window under Klopp's tenure. We spent the money that we brought in for Coutinho alone. So now I want to re-ask the question, where's the Champions League final money that we would have had literally just from that season, before that season, because that was when we got to the Champions League final and whatnot. Oh, yeah, it was, weren't it? Before we signed all those players.
It
was, because Virgil played in the first Champions League final under Klopp in Kiev.
Yeah, because Fabinho came in 2 days after the final, or a day after the final, I believe.
Wait, no, Virgil didn't play in Kiev.
He did.
Yeah, he did.
He was there in the January. He came
in January, and that's what helped us with our run. That's what changed the whole defense with our run. I'm trying to think. To be fair,
but to think about it though, where's all that money gone? There was the season where we won the league and we brought in Jota and Thiago.
Yeah,
that was summer.
That was after COVID.
That's after we won the league.
COVID, yeah.
That was after.
The reason why I remember that. the reason why I remember that, because I was thinking after we won the league, it's like, you know what? There's actually some signings with intent. It's for me, it's our first signing
When we won the league, we signed no one actually. We signed Adrian Harvey Elliott and Seth Vanderberg when we won the league.
Yeah.
It was after I think it was after the Champions League when we done some business.
Well,
but
no. When we won the league, COVID 2020, it was definitely Thiago and Jota. So once we won the league, we then signed Thiago and Jota that summer. It definitely was COVID.
It was after we won the Champions League.
That's when we signed
Harvey Elliott.
Yeah, that's when we didn't.
Was it after the Champions League when we signed those players?
After the Champions League, we signed no one.
Yeah,
and then after we won the league,
because the only money we'd spent was the Coutinho money, and I understand there was issues with Barcelona with that, but still, though, like the fact that that's the money, but where's the rest of it gone? So the money that we're making from Premier League and Champions League, where's that? That's important, and I understand. I'm not expecting us to spend 500 million in one window, but how come we're not even spending 100 million a window, or even like? I don't know. It's just a bit strange to me. Like some windows, we do spend excess of 100 million for sure, but we're so narrow on squad depth. We need to actually be spending more. I'm not trying to be too greedy, but I don't think it's a lot to ask. Even if you just get bodies for cheap prices, like try and build some players. You know what I mean? Just do something. Get more money ball signings, if you will. You know, if you have a chance of improving the squad, great, but you need to do something.
I'm trying to think who we sold, but in that season after we won the league, obviously everyone saw everyone saw kind of Thiago as the final piece to the puzzle in the midfield. Remember, we said we didn't have a creator, so we bought in Thiago. Everyone was really happy with that.
Let's be honest, Monts. In our lifetime, that was the first world-class ready-made player we've signed.
Ready-made player that I've ever seen. Diogo Jota obviously came in, and obviously, you guys remember Costa Simicas came in that year as well. That window as well.
Yes,
Simicas came in, but you got to remember. The issue that year wasn't even really the midfield and the attack. You'd go as far as to say the issue, because we actually remember we kept Wijnaldum. Wijnaldum played that season. We did keep Wijnaldum that year. The issue was Lovren left, and we didn't buy a centre back. What we actually did was we bought Konate the window after, because when we went into the window, we went into the COVID season with 3 centre backs. With Van Dijk, Sepp van der Berg, I think he even went on loan. We went in with Van Dijk, Matip, and Gomez.
And then we had to promote Nat and Reece. When all 3 of them just so happened to get injured, and obviously at one point we had Henderson and Fabinho as a centre back partnership. We also signed Kabak in that January. Didn't we?
Signed Kabak in January, and we called Reece Williams back from loan, I believe.
And Ben Davies. Reece Williams was at us the whole time. Ben Davies. Ben Davies.
It was the hologram. The hologram. Who didn't even play? The hologram? There's no way you mentioned the hologram. Jammers, you didn't. Big up, let's just get to
Davies is a legend, bro. You're mad. He's a cool dude.
Big up, H. I've had enough. I'm done, lads. This season is a write-off, unfortunately. We need 3 more signings, and that is just for top 4. Big up, H, for the super chat, bro. You know, we appreciate you. Dan says 42 million net spend so far. # big summer rebuild.
I've been saying once. You know, I've been saying.
Let me get to the other one. Red Oxtail says, big up for the £2 super chat. He goes, FSG are putting 1.5 billion into a real estate deal.
Is that factual? Or?
Probably.
I was just saying, some coping for our fans. We shouldn't have to because of the one of the biggest institutions we are alongside United. But I would just say lower your expectations for this season because we're not bringing in what's required to challenge. I know it's sad, but I've been saying to our families just low because if you have high expectation, at the end of the day, it's sad to say, but you're only going to disappoint yourself. That's how I see this season going. It is sad to say, but just lower them because from now to the end of the window, I do think we bring in a body, but that body won't be enough. And like James was alluding to earlier, Andre, let's be honest, is an unknown intensity. That he could come in and do well. We can't just turn our nose up at it because he's come from the Brazilian league. We know he's probably going to be a technician. I've not seen enough of him. From the highlights I've seen, he looks decent, but I'm not going to judge him off that. I feel like I need to see at least, I've always said at least 5 90-minute matches from a player before I can have a proper insight on them. But he looks decent. But again, like you alluded to earlier, Monts, how many players have we seen come to the Prem first season and it's not really happened for them. But let's say it's just the Andre, that's disappointing. Even if it's just the Lavia, it's disappointing. But I was just saying to the rest of our family, it's just as some copium, just lower the expectations, man. It's sad, but we're gonna have to because it's evident we're not gonna bring in what's required to mount a challenge.
Do you know what I'd love? I'd love more than anything just to try and test the theory. If we or I could get FSG on a light, take the test, and genuinely ask them, "Are you happy with top 4?" I'd just love to ask that question. I mean, like, you know
the answer, bro. I think you know the answer. You know the answer.
No, that's irrelevant because the reason why I'm saying this, it doesn't matter. I know the answer. I've been saying the answer for years. Even when we were winning the league, I was saying that. The point that I'm leading to is that I would love to know what the fans would then do if they knew the truth about their ambitions. I think it's very easy for the fans to be clouded by 1 or 2 signings to make us think like, okay, we're doing the thing with Klopp where we don't buy the best players in the world, but we're still going to win stuff anyway because that's what Klopp does. They have something special there with the Klopp narrative. Getting Klopp in was the best thing they ever did, but might actually be the worst thing for us because he's a great enough manager to continuously get us into top 4 season after season after season. So I'd love to know if the fan base would change their perception on FSG, if they were sincerely honest about whether or not they're trying to be a challenging Premier League winning club, or if they are very satisfied with European football and the revenue in which that generates. I think it's the latter, if I was to make a prediction based on what I've seen. But it doesn't matter what I just think. The reason why I'd want that video to be out and the reason why I'd want to like take the test, not to be proved right, but then for everybody else to know the truth about these guys. And if they did, what would that cause? Because right now there's not enough agency for an ownership that they're just not good, bro. You know what I mean? They're just not that good of an ownership. Morally, the shit. They've done a lot of things against the club.
Top Red stay the same, even if they find out that FSG are only happy with top 4. Crazy as that sounds.
Some of them might, but I think a lot would change. I do. I think a lot would change.
Yeah,
I think I think because of the Klopp factor, I think a lot of our fans have genuine hope, blind faith, but I think they have that faith in the manager and that he can just turn coal into diamonds. Ruby, stop it. My dog always itches.
Last, obviously, just on the next topic that we're looking at, the alternative. Again, things have come out in a funny order. So when the news came out that Liverpool, the Lavia deal was stalling, all of a sudden news comes out about we're looking at obviously the young lad from Brazil called Andre. And 2 of the people on this panel share that name. So obviously I hope he's a good player. Do you know what I'm saying? I think that I feel it's my middle name. So you know, it'd be nice. Yeah. So
we got the same middle name. Yeah, I just remembered.
Yeah, I know. We might as well just be related. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. But this Andre kid, 20 million, he's being quoted at. No one really knows a lot about him. If anyone tells me they've watched him game in, game out, they are lying. They are lying. Straight.
You know how they're lying? Obviously, I know we've got families all over the world, but if it's a British fan saying they've watched him game in, game out, they're lying. But just because of the time difference, you're telling me you stayed up at 3 a.m. every evening to watch this guy. You're lying.
It's crazy. Do you know what though? If the alternate is Andre and he's 20 million, like then he should just be coming in with Lavia. He should be getting signed with Lavia. That's it though. He should just be getting signed with Lavia and that's that. He is another young midfielder, so clearly we're not really looking at anyone with core experience, in my opinion. I'm a bit confused now as to what Liverpool are going to do with their midfield. Tactically, I'm just confused. Tactically, are you guys confused tactically, or do you think it's just going to stay the same? I don't really, because I
think Klopp has a vision on what he wants this team to be. I don't think we have the players that he wants to do it. I think that's the problem.
Literally.
But you know how that story ends. You know, I look at everyone.
I don't think it matters. I think that's an FSG problem more than I think we're walking into fire anyway. I think there's a world where Liverpool fans turn on Klopp. I think there's a world where that happens. I think we've seen glimpses before. I think we're just one bad season away from it, to be honest. I think another season outside the Europa League.
Hey, for me, Klopp's in hot water if he doesn't tactically sort out the defense. Him and Pep Linders, hot water, and it's not ultimately all his fault.
That's fine. Just know you found no solution.
Yeah, but it's for me. I hold everyone accountable. I still look at someone like Darwin Nunez now. It's added pressure to players like Nunez who probably shouldn't have come in under the pressure they came in under. Players like him need to need the time to buy. Even though I'm being told he's the guy right now, but I'm also being told he's for the future. So that one still doesn't make sense to me. With Nunez, I still don't think he's good enough to play for Liverpool Football Club. He needs to prove me wrong this season.
Why is that a Klopp thing?
That's not a Klopp thing.
Oh.
That's not a Klopp thing.
I'm sorry, I thought you were listing off Klopp things. I apologize.
It is, for me, I didn't agree with the fact that Klopp went out his way to sign him. I think there were other places that needed to be addressed, but that's also an FSG thing at the same time, because with enough funds, he should have got Nunez.
But you know what though, Monts? If I gave you, but it's hard to say that without context, because if I gave you context that there was a list of players that we could have signed, and let's just say Nunez was better than the rest of them, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I do. Not hear that.
I wanted him, but Klopp isn't going to be spending his time watching games week in, week out like we do, bro. He's also not the scout, nor is he the guy who appoints players. He's not the one who controls the ins or the out.
He has been making a few more of those calls now, obviously, since the previous guy.
Give me examples, you know what I mean? Give me examples where he's got 100% control in ins and outs.
Not 100% control, but since Edwards left, who was making the decision to sign players?
The one that we replaced Edwards with. It didn't go from Edwards leaving to Klopp making
the
decision.
But obviously, I know. Listen, Julian Ward. For me, I don't even think Julian Ward was as bad as everyone makes him out to be. Personally, in it, I don't agree with that straight notion. I just feel like with Jurgen Klopp, he's had a say in some of these signings, and obviously the reports were that he pushed.
What
for that
matters is who's got the biggest say in transfers. It doesn't matter if he has a say. Virgil van Dijk can have a say in a signing. He can have a say in a signing. He doesn't have ultimate say. If Jurgen Klopp doesn't have ultimate say, we shouldn't be blaming him for transfers. You know what I mean? Alex, he had ultimate control over transfers. If he wanted, regarding transfers, yes. He's not.
I disagree with that one. So I do disagree with that.
I don't. I think if Jurgen Klopp weren't pitching the players well enough about the project, because that's what our manager's there to do. I'm not trying to defend you.
Part of the transfer committee. That's why I say that. But as you said, it is who has to.
But Monts, what I'm saying to you is that if his job is to pitch the project to the list of players which he is being given that fit the financial needs of the football club. Sir Alex Ferguson could sit there and say, I want this player, let's go and break the transfer record for this player. He's done that 5 times. It's a completely different world. Pep Guardiola, he has a much more world-class scouting team, a significant more amount of resources.
Wasn't reports coming out, some are just going that Klopp was given more power? Like he kind of had the most say. I don't know how true it was, but that's what the reports were coming out.
There's 2 things that I'd want to ask on that, because you might be right. So the first thing I'd want to ask, where's the source? Who's the source who has this inside information that has heard that Jurgen Klopp has now got more power? Now also, can we get this on a spectrum? Can we get how much more power is Jurgen Klopp being given on the spectrum? Now, if these 2 things are in the article, I'm more than happy to listen to it, bro. But as far as I'm concerned, it was only 3 months ago Jurgen wanted Milner to stay, and he had to go. Now, listen.
And now listen as well.
Listen, that was wrong. I wouldn't have wanted Ruby's doing a madness. I wouldn't have wanted Milner to stay. So that was wrong. So there's an example there of an example of why Jurgen Klopp should not get control. There's an example. I'm fine with that. His job is to coach the players, which is fine. What I'm saying,
even tactically, that's what I mean. Go on, so carry on.
I'm talking about ins and outs at the moment. We can talk about tactically in a sec. But ins and outs, we've shown and identified 3 months. So whatever this article was, he hasn't got enough power to keep James Milner. If he really believes James Milner is good enough for the system and he believes why didn't he keep him? Why didn't he get to keep him?
You could say Henderson as well.
He also tried to keep Firmino, and Firmino said, no, it's time to go as well, to be fair. Obviously, that's a
Firmino decision. Milner was a club decision. That was different. That was a club decision to let him go. Milner wanted to stay. Klopp wanted to stay. They both verbally said this. This isn't speculation. This is guaranteed facts from the horse's mouth. So the fact that both wanted to stay and the club pushed him out, that's important. Now we know that Klopp doesn't have 100% control unless this more power was given to him a day after this Milner thing happened. That's the only way. On tactics, that's fine. He's not a tactically versatile manager. I think that's probably one of the things that holds him back slightly. But then I will always go back to, if you give him what he needs, then you never know. And again, he's done great things with this squad as it is. I have trust that he can rebuild it. But yeah, tactically, he can be a bit too persistent. I think that's due to the lack of versatility. But I don't think you find a manager with greater attributes in other skill sets who can help the situation like we can with Jurgen. It's very nitpicky. You've got to get the right manager.
Go on, Rob. What was you going to say, bro?
No, it's just gonna say after it now. James, it was a pleasure streaming with you first
Nah,
time.
pleasure,
Big up,
brother. Pleasure.
smash them likes, and once I'll speak to you later, bro.
100%.
Peace out, my G.
Peace out,
Big
bro.
up.
Red Oxter with the super chat. He goes, yes, it's a fact. It was reported 2-3 weeks ago. Pick up this up, and that was in reply. Let me just put up the previous super chat for FSG putting in 1.5 billion into real estate. Big up Daps as well in the chat as well, and also big up K-Mac, and also big up Jamie Phillips as well.
Big up, Jamie.
Yeah, obviously, I know Jamie's opinion on Jurgen Klopp. He said he wanted Henderson to stay as well. But just to look at some of the comments, Big Country says, I believe Nunez will come good. And if you look at when the best player in the world, Mane, came in, he scored the same amount of goals. We never once said he was a flop that season. Again, I understand the whole he will come good. I get the he will come good bit, but I will not.
The point that he's made to back it up is poor.
I'm not gonna disrespect Sadio Mane coming in and being the best attacker straight away, whereas Nunez did not come into this Liverpool team and become the best attacker. I'm sorry. Okay, they scored the same amount of goals, but if we actually watch that season, how impactful Mane was,
because I agree with you, Monts. It's more than fine to have the belief Nunez is going to get better. To have that belief on the premise that Suarez had a bad season and Mane had a bad season, that's a poor comparison. It's really bad.
It's just opium because do you know what it is? It's the samples. It's people acting like the sample size is the same as you said, Luis Suarez.
I could say Mario Balotelli. I could say Christian Benteke. I could say these players who had poor seasons. Still, Benteke still scored double-digit goals for us, but he weren't good, and he was never going to be good enough. And the question about Nunez, as big as a signing as he's been, is will he be good enough? So it's fine. You believe he's good enough. Now just give me a bit of a better reason than that. That's all I need. You know what I mean?
And we are allowed to be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? I at one point questioned whether Jota was good enough on the ball because I was allowed to nitpick because we were the best team. We were like the second best team in the world. So if I saw something I didn't like, even if it was a nitpick, I could call it out because the standard was so high. If I say I don't like something, it still means it's very good. It's just not up here.
Do you know what I love? I'd love Nunez if he was an option off the bench. I just don't like the idea of him starting.
But he is. But James, this is the problem with that is. He is an option off the bench. Everyone gets on to me, and I don't know how you've been treated in terms of the whole Nunez thing. I've had a lot of heat from that. But if I'm getting a lot of the heat, give the heat to the gaffer because he is now fifth choice attacker in the pecking order. He is now fifth choice in the pecking order. So it's not just me who is saying this. Jurgen Klopp signed another player in January who wasn't even a false nine to go and do the job that he wanted Nunez to do originally when he signed it. So it's like, do you know what I mean? It's not my fault. Jota is still ahead of him in the pecking order. Diaz is, and of course, Mo Salah is Mo Salah. Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously, Firmino was actually ahead of him and scored more goals with less time, and he's finished, and he doesn't score goals. He's never scored goals, apparently, apart from 2017-18. So my point is that it's being shown to us by the club, by the manager, by the assistant manager, and tactically. But man, I want to get on to us when we say, oh, I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
which one?
It's funny because even Jamie, who's got some great views, he's just said there about how we don't play to Nunez's strengths. I disagree. I don't think overall we do. I think he's right in terms of we usually play with a false nine. Nunez is not a false nine, so I agree with Jamie there. Where I disagree is that last season Nunez was getting so many chances and missing them, and I think people have forgot because when he did get put out the team and he was getting less of a main role, he looked more suited to that. Like the way Origi. Why did we love Origi? He wouldn't have been good enough to be a starting number 9 for Liverpool week in, week out. Well, maybe if he was free of injuries, actually.
Without the Funes Mori tackle, I believe Origi would have been. He lost
I still didn't have guarantee with that. You know, even back then, I still had no guarantee. I think, but let's go off the argument that he could have been. Right, let's go off that.
He had Sturridge as a measuring stick, though, and that's quite a high measuring stick.
I just don't think Origi was ever going to be a world-class striker. I thought he was going to be a good striker, not world-class. But he became the big moments dude, and we loved him because he was the big moments dude, and he done that very, very well. The same way we love Nat Phillips because he did his role very, very well. And I will love Nunez if we all agree that his role is off the bench because he's not better than Jota, and I don't think he adheres more to the system than Gakpo. And I think that was evident last season. And people misinterpret. People misinterpret what I've just said there, like as if I'm saying all of last season was Nunez's fault, which is a poor argument as well, because never in one of those sentences did I say that.
Everyone heard right now, we hate Nunez. We don't want him to be at the club. That's what everyone heard.
That's not important, because that's why I'm telling them that they're misinterpreting it, and that's just the logic on their side of things when they listen to these points. I think we would all love Nunez more if we all had it in our brains that he's our backup, and I think he's a very, very good backup. It's a bit weird to spend 70 million on a backup, but still, he's a very, very good backup. So,
but Jamie says it here, Nunez is going to read the replacement. When I said this in game week 5, the heat was mad. The uproar was crazy, bro.
I can't see. I don't think he was supposed to be.
Now, obviously, he wasn't supposed to be. I just took a look at him and go, again, sometimes you look at a player and just know, I said, bro, this guy's closer to Origi than people think. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? You know what? Nunez, whether he puts the ball in the back of it or not, he is a defender's nightmare. Defenders hate what he can do, especially off the ball. You know what I'm saying? But if he can become a big moments player, then I've got, as you said, I've got no issues. But he's shown in big moments so far to me, from what I've seen with my 2 eyes, that he hasn't been the guy. We're going to move on from Nunez anyway, because I don't want this to be a Nunez slander competition. He's had a good preseason, in my opinion. So I'm excited to see what he brings off of the bench and in the Europa League, because I don't think he's going to start anyway. But I'm excited to see what we can from him next season. If anything, Liverpool attack is the only good thing we can actually be happy about this season. It is the attack. Diaz, who I wasn't sure about in terms of coming back from his injury, seems to be getting his confidence back. I don't know if you see that as well. Diaz seems to be getting his confidence back a little bit now. I like what I see from him. I think Diaz now knows that he's positioned under threat. That's what I see with Diaz.
I think he was just always really, really good. I just think he was always really, really good. I think at the beginning of last season, he was our best attacker. I think 100%, at the end of last season, he was getting back into things with a long injury. It's tough to rebuild that momentum. Especially when he went number 1, sometimes we were going with Gakpo and Jota, and sometimes we were switching it up. So I think, that run of games for Diaz is all he needed. I think Diaz is, it's tough because Jota does such a great job. But my personal second favourite out of all of our attackers, Diaz is amazing for me. And I think very underrated, criminally underrated by our fan base. I think people miss the overall picture there with Diaz. I think they see like little output and think that can't help the team in any way when they love Firmino for years. I think Diaz can have a very similar thing just from the left. Yeah. And I think he's going to have a big season for us.
Yeah, not 100%. Just the last few points in terms of the midfield now. Chat, I want to ask the chat question as well. Chat, James gave us 3 names, and it was Pavard, I believe, Marcos Llorente, and Romeo Lavia as the realistic options he could see coming in, just probably according to our budget. Chat, give me 3 names now that you look at that could be realistic for Liverpool signings, and obviously we'll go through those in the chat, and obviously we'll probably just head out after that. I'll probably give you mine. Obviously, Lavia is one of them for me.
Yep.
Paulinho is now injured. I still think, even though Paulinho is being priced at a high price, I think without the injury, I think maybe Liverpool maybe go in late for him, but that's now off the table. Amrabat was my second, but obviously the reports came out it was only until a few days ago I still thought Amrabat was possible. Not a few days ago, a few weeks ago, I'd say was possible, but now that even seems like a bit of a weird one to me. In terms of defense, I do still like the whole look of Inacio and stuff, but again, Kyle Walker-Peters, unfortunately from the same team, I believe I like the idea of a right back in Kyle Walker-Peters. As much as Joe Gomez has to play right back and can't play centre back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really on the Kone and Thuram train anymore. I think that story has just gone on for too long.
I like Kone. I know that he's had a few injuries and whatnot, but I like Kone. He's a good player in my opinion.
He is a good player though. He is a very good player.
He'd be the guy that I'd have chose. Out of all the realistic names, Gabri Veiga, everybody. We weren't linked with Szoboszlai when we signed Szoboszlai, but my favourite was Kone. My favourite was Kone for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'd say Lavia, him, and again, it's even difficult for me to think too much, but I'd still even say I can't get my mind away from a destroyer. Do you know what I mean? I can't get my mind away from a destroyer type midfield, and I think all of those are just we're probably priced out for most of those.
Is it Ignacio? Is it Ignacio or?
I would say the last one, the last player.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Florian Rich. not so much a destroyer, but very much like his style of football as well.
Do you know that Ibanez, is he now going to Nottingham Forest? Ibanez from Roma.
The centre back.
Yes.
Roma.
Yes.
Yeah.
25
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's been accepted, but they submitted a bid in. What do you
I think that'd be a great deal for us. I think that just cheap centre back, proven on a European stage. He's played at the level that we're playing at this season, which is Europa League. If you because no one expects us to replace Van Dijk in the short term, no. And a lot of us are putting stocks into Konate. So if we're putting stocks into Konate and we've got stocks in Virgil van Dijk, then Ibanez seems like the perfect squad alternative.
Tapsoba as well. How about him as well? Sorry, Tapsoba.
I'd need to see more of him. I know that he's been rated at times. I haven't saw the recent form, but
I've seen the Van der Ven before the Tottenham thing as well. I don't know if you remember the Van der Ven.
Yes, the guy from Wolfsburg. I had to took him. I think he was I think he probably would have been the best out of all. I like Ibanez though. I think he'd be someone who I'd be intrigued by. And the price is. Chat, how old is he? If you can let me know as well. How old is he at? Because I don't know how old he is, but I think he can be a good squad option.
Isn't he like 24? I don't know.
If he's 24, I don't know how the fuck we haven't jumped on that.
No, he was born in 98, so he's 25. 25? He's either 25 or 24. He's 25 or 24.
That's amazing. Yeah, that amazes me. The fact that we haven't even been linked with that player, that's bonkers. But
it's like obviously again we are signing assassins, as I said, but it does concern me a little bit that the two signings, Hammers, were just straight release clauses. And the first time we've had to deal with business outside of a release clause, we're kind of struggling to get it over the line.
Yes. I'm really intrigued to know how them Soboslai ones went. I think that was kinds of things that just aligned. Guardiola hadn't received a proper offer for Guardiola yet, which is important because, of course, you saw the balls that Leipzig had after they sold Soboslai. They were like, we don't need to sell Guardiola yet. You know what I mean? We don't need to let him go. They were a bit more reluctant. So I'm intrigued to know how desperate was Leipzig. And then how much of an influence did Fabio Carvalho have in that transfer? I think those two things are massively important. I'd like to know how easy that one was. Because if it was easy because of those things, then that means we're probably going to find a lot of deals very difficult, like the way we are with Lavia, if we don't have those mini incentives to offer them like we did with Carvalho, for instance.
Like some people aren't even. I'm looking at some of these names, and some people are giving us in the chat. They're giving us 3 midfielders, forgetting that we need a defender. If you know what's crazy, I said 3 names, but I actually think we need 2 centre backs just because of Konate's fitness. The second Konate gets injured, we are in big trouble for one, and we still need another left centre back.
Well, I'm very fine. I think you're got. By the way, this is a point that I forgot to mention before. I don't think we're going to sell Nat Phillips.
You think he stays? You think he stays then?
I think when Ampadu went to Leeds, that was them done. I think that's why we haven't seen any more links between Leeds and Nat Phillips, and no other club seems to be a strong candidate. Now, I'm not disputing the idea of someone coming in on transfer deadline day and getting them for as cheap as possible, maybe. But I think he might end up staying. And I think if he stays, I think that's the determining factor on whether we get a new centre-back or not.
Yeah, I hear it. There is some Andre prop in the chat that apparently they're saying he is quite good. He is actually quite good.
And he might be. I'm encouraged when I see someone come from that part of the world, you know what I mean? But I've never seen him, so I'd be dishonest to give you the proper opinion.
Yeah, no, 100%. K-Max, send your 3 again before we close it, because I send the 3 again.
If we get 3, do you know if we get 3 players who the club really want and identify, and 2 of those are a midfielder and 1's a centre-back, I'm happy. Because then this club have no excuses.
Even if we was just to get Lavia and then we go and get a centre-back maybe game week 2, because the centre-back we get isn't going to start over Konate and Van Dijk.
Exactly. It's in case one of them get out of position.
Yeah, but he still has to be good enough that the drop-off's not catastrophic. That's all that needs to be. So, and I think with that, you probably don't have to spend more than 40 million. That's why I thought maybe if it was maybe an Inacio or someone, because Inacio looks like it cost like 40 million. If it wasn't Inacio and a Lavia, so he bought in, the window would consist of getting rid of Fabinho and Henderson, and then bringing in Inacio, Lavia, Szoboszlai, and McAllister.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? With that, I'm not mad. I promise you, I'm not even mad. I ain't FSG in, but I'm not mad. You know what I'm saying?
I with FSG, as I know they're not going to leave, I'm on a season-to-season basis with them. So my conclusion going into every season is FSG out. My conclusion, if we win the quadruple, will be FSG out. And I know people will say that's ridiculous, but I would need to see a significant economic rise in the local part of the city. I would need to see massive benefits to local businesses. I would need to see more sincerity with the fan groups around Liverpool Football Club. Because, you know, the Spirit of Shankly, for instance, they were completely overthrown when that Super League decision came in. And that's not the purpose why they're there. You know what I mean? They're a committee for the football club. They're there to back these decisions and do what's best for the football club. And FSG neglected that and threw that out the window. So before people think I complain about transfers, that's what I'm complaining about first. So the only way I would ever change my mind on FSG is if I saw those things, because they're beautiful things. If you're helping out the community and you're building the economy around the stadium and for local businesses and you're bringing more people to the city, I think that's productive and I think that's good. But where I have an issue and where I am now is season to season. Let's just get what we need for this season. We're still missing out on many because we've neglected many positions for years. But get what we need for this season. At least do the bare minimum because we're below that at the moment. At least do the bare minimum and get bodies in.
No, I 100% agree, man. 100% agree. Guys, I reckon that's enough complaining of me, Hammers, and Roms for today.
I never smiled once throughout the whole stream. I hope everyone noticed.
Not once. Do you know what the worst thing is? Whenever we're on stream, we're actually dying of laughter at least 2-3 times in the stream.
That's right.
What is this show? What does that show today? That there's just no laughter. It's negative. No, I don't want to say negative because I feel like we're realistic, but it's probably.
I think there is two ways to be right now. I think there is positive and there is negative, and I don't see a reason to be positive. Now, if you can give me a new adjective that aligns, as you know, in the group with those two, then fine. But I believe there's either one or the other, and I think it would be blind to be positive right now. But you can try and be as balanced as possible, I suppose.
I don't know, man.
I'm trying. I might not be doing a good job to the top Reds, but I'm trying.
I don't think
my dog is dead because of the shit that this club is doing. Like, come on, guys, you know what I mean? My dog is dead on the back of the couch. Like, let's sort this shit out.
Stop it! You are kidding me. But listen, people. Listen, we are.
My dog has not moved for 10 minutes since I mentioned the words FSG. Come on, guys. Like, we need to really think about this. It's affecting people with 4 legs.
This is what I mean, man. I don't know, man. It's just how about this? I just want to be happy. I want to wake up to some good news. Is that even so much to ask for?
I think it is.
I don't think it is.
Do you want me to tell you why? Because that means that's money out of FSG's pocket. And I think the only thing that'll be good news is things that result in FSG losing money. And I don't think they like losing money. So I would stay asleep a little bit longer. I know you would like to wake up in the morning happy. That's probably not going to happen. So at least try and wake up in the afternoon.
No, 100%. Listen, Hammers, my guy, thank you so much for coming on, man. Listen, you know, I appreciate it.
Can I plug myself? Can I plug myself to everyone?
No, you can't. No. We're going to finish it there. Have a great show, guys. This is going to be ending.
I'm going live, you fucks. I was going to steal it. I'm not asked. James Edmund TV. I'm going live. And it's going to be... I'm going live in about... I don't know. It's not set up yet, but it will be in about like 10-15 minutes chat. Just bear with me, but just keep an eye out. All right, go and watch a show that you're all right. We're not watching the full episode, and then
set it up so I can just send everyone straight over.
Oh, nah, it's sweet. Let them use the memories. I can't be arsed setting up the stream yet. Give me a chance. You know what I mean?
Okay, no worries. Well, listen, people, you said there and then. Big up, obviously, me, Tom, Hussam, and Hammers done a baggage stream in the middle of the week. So if you on the watchbacks, catch that as well. That show was hilarious, by the way. That's right. So make sure you watch that.
We'll be doing that again Tuesday if you're free, by the way.
Listen, you know I'm there, man. It's you. I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Family in this thing. Listen, big up my brother James. Make sure you go and subscribe to him. You know what I'm saying? Back and better. Obviously, we are actually nearly not too far off of 5.4 already. The way you guys are subscribing and supporting this channel is crazy. And yeah, let's just keep it running. So again, so many people tuned in today. If you're watching this back, make sure you like the video. If you're watching this back, make sure you subscribe to both of us. Also, as I said, it's Callum's birthday today, so please wish him a happy birthday. He is live over on Coppish now with Jifty as well, so make sure you go hit up them. Make sure you hit up James. Again, 15 minutes, he will be live. link there. Solo's just slapped it in there. Listen,
That's
you know what I'm
right.
saying? So you guys know what it is. Big up everyone in the comments. Big up H for sending the super chat. Big up Red Oxtail for the 2 super chats that he sent in as well. And also, I just big up the members as I do after every stream. By the way, people, one quick announcement that I actually forgot to say at the start of the video. The Big Six Bands clips and TikTok will be available from tomorrow. So yes, YouTube Shorts,
Lovely.
TikToks, Instagram Reels, and Twitter clips will be there. Obviously, starting with a very funny clip from the other day, from last Tuesday, I believe, and we're gonna have clips every day at a similar time. So more content on more socials to spread all over the world. So I hope you guys enjoy that as well. Big up the members, of course. Of course, my mind's just moving mad slow because it's Friday today. People allow me. Kaz, big up Ed. What you say, bro?
You're good. You're all good.
Big up Kaz, big up Ed, big up Honestly, big up Solo, Ethan D1, KLFC, Ed, Snake Eyes, Baden Reds, Roms obviously was in the chat, NDT, Baby, and obviously Aiden Andrews. People, it's been another episode of Big Six Bands.
Can I respond to one comment before we close out?
Yes, which comment of it?
Remy.
Oh, the irrelevant one.
Yes, I find these very intriguing. I think these are good. I think these create productive discussion. Pull it up on the screen if you can, so other people can read it. But essentially, it's just saying that my opinion is irrelevant, and I think this is interesting because the opinion in which Remy has on my opinion being irrelevant makes me think, well, his opinion on me must be irrelevant because he's saying from a position of no power, my opinion is irrelevant. Well, he doesn't seem to as well because he's in YouTube comments watching 2 Liverpool YouTubers. And as much as I appreciate the support, Remy, and as much as I agree my opinion's irrelevant, it's kind of a contradicting thing because I think yours is as well. But I appreciate you tuning in and I hope you watch the full advert.
There you go. Good conflict. Very good conflict. And well said. Listen, big up James, big up Remy, big up Jay Kismet, big up John, big up everyone in the chat. It's been another episode of Big Six Bands. We're going to end this on the image that we started with, unfortunately, because this is a little bit of a representation of the rest of us right now. It's been another episode of Big Six Bands. We'll see you in the next one. Take care, people.
Peace out, guys.